Hi, it's Blue. Hi, Anaya. Hi, Miriam. They're trying to beat you up. I did see Mono. Hi, Sass. I was already planning to watch it anyway. I'm glad. I literally was, hi, Tata. I made a video right before I got on, y'all, so I literally haven't even eaten yet. Hi, Stevie. Hi, Fama. Hi, Pearl. Hi, Shanika. Same, babes. We're gonna get into it. I'm gonna try to let everybody get into it, into here before we get started. But I definitely have some thoughts. Hi, Adelaide. Hi, Jen. Hello, hello, everyone. You don't have to watch the video if you don't want and come back. You totally can if you want to. Oh, hi, Love Note. I'm glad you made it for part of it. Y'all, let me just start with saying it's okay. It's okay. Hi, Mish. Y'all, this is going so fast. Hi, K Camp. Hey, Jasmine. Y'all, okay, so I can't be on long right now only because I know Siobhan. I have my own therapy, but hi, Liv. Hi, Gemma. No, I literally just got on. Y'all, love note, that's the whole thing. Hi, Jay. Hi, Perpy. Is that if we're listening to that man, maybe I shouldn't have that on live. I have no idea the rules. I know the rules. Oh, hi, niece. Hi, Shanice. Sorry. Hi, Shanice. So I want us to be mindful. Hi, Jamila. Period, Camilla. Y'all, so I can't stay long right now. Like I can be on for like an hour and a half, an hour and 45, and then I have to have my own therapy because therapists have therapists, okay? But I did set a live goal. If we hit my live goal, I will come back tonight. I will come back tonight if we do that. So, y'all, the first thing I want to say to y'all is just let's take a chill pill. Let's relax, right? Like, he didn't say anything. Hi, Chocotella, should be alarming if we listen to what he said. Okay? What the man said was, and y'all, I'm prepping my breakfast, so excuse me for moving around. What the man said was that and y'all can hear me okay, right? What the man said was, okay. The Shelly and Ace video is up for subscribers already. But what the man said was that, my last conversation with him before I left the villa, he told me that it was blah, 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 blah. So when he brings, that it was no romantic spark yet. So when he brings up Alandria being at the dinner with him. Okay, hold on. Sorry. Let me stop. Let me give you a timeline. So what he said, I watched it twice now, y'all. I watched it twice because I'll be watching that shit on 2x speed. Okay. That's exactly right, honey Zoe. So what he said was, the last conversation that I had with Nick, well, actually, let me take you back further than that. I'm sorry. I got to take you back further. When he opened up the interview, he opened it with shots for Nick Alandria. Did y'all catch that? Did y'all watch it? Did y'all hear that when he did that? People want to come out and, they're just being so booked and busy, right? Because he's talking about how he's not doing that. He's controlling his image. He doesn't need to like do the little fame in this time frame, blah, 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 blah. So he started the conversation with that. Y'all, I'm sorry, I got to turn on this water so I can actually, let me do this and then I'll wash my hands. So he started the interview with that, and I literally thought to myself, like, oh shit, I wonder what's going on with him and Nick. Because we all know that he and Nick haven't really chatted, right? Because Nick told us that he's saying, well, Ace is really busy. You know what I mean? Ace is really busy. But he started the conversation. I'm gonna pin this goal because if we hit it, I will come back later tonight. He started the conversation on some, y'all, I'm gonna wash my hands, so I'm sorry for the noise. Okay, sorry. So he started the conversation on some like low-key hating. He was low-key hating, right? Hi, I know she was in the background. They said hi, manager. So he started the interview on some low-key hating, okay? And then he gets into like how he's not really close with certain people, how he's really only close with Taylor, and he mentions Brian, which is weird, and not like being like super close, but he did mention Brian, right? And then Alandria and Shelly, okay? What is interesting about this is he's telling us right off the bat, he ain't fucking with Nick. He ain't fucking with Nick, okay? So this should be, I say all the time, consider the source. When somebody is saying something, you need to consider the source, okay? So he's already telling us all of this before he even gets to the question about Nick Alandria. So he's already, oh yeah, and he mentioned Jeremiah. He's already giving you all this information about where he is. So you need to remember that as you're listening to what he's saying, okay? Then we get to like, oh, what do you think about Nick and Alandria? You know, blah, 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 blah. He's like, well, the last conversation that Nick and I had in the villa, it was blah, 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 blah. So he's telling us the last conversation he had was Nick in the villa. He's telling us he ain't been having emotional, deep conversations with Nick since leaving the villa. So anything he has to say about Nick Alandria at this point is not good data. It's not good data. It's not good data. He's not giving us good information. What Ace feels... Okay, let me clear this up for y'all. He's not giving us the most up-to-date data correctly. What he should have said was, the last conversation I had with him was this. I don't know where they are today. And I will say this, y'all. I will say this. I don't know if you caught it. I actually screen grabbed it, and I might make another video with it. But when they're having the Nick and Alandria conversation, which was so interesting to me, because they talk explicitly about it not wanting to be cut up. I don't want to edit it. I don't want to da-da-da-da-da. But there's clearly a jump in the frame. There was clearly a jump in the frame at some point in that conversation. Did anybody else peep that? It was very obvious. And so we know that it's a little bit altered, right? Just a little bit. Now it could have been he got a phone call and so they paused and they start, it could be whatever. But it was there, okay? So then when they get to the final part where he says, oh, that's 1 of 5, y'all. If we hit it, I'll be back tonight. Then he said, what do you think about Nick Alandria? And he gets quiet. And he says, well, how do you feel about that for Alandria? You know, I love Alandria. I'm sad for her, you know, but the last conversation that I had with Nick, again, he already told us that it started 13 minutes ago, 12-ish minutes ago. The last conversation he had with Nick was like 2 months ago. Thank you. It was like 2 months ago. But here's what's happening. And this is why I be like, y'all be mad. Well, not y'all, right? But people be mad when I bring up Ace's age, right? Oh, that's 2 of 5. That's 2 of 5. People be mad when I bring up Ace's age. But y'all, there's a reason why we don't diagnose certain things until you hit a certain age. Because certain behaviors are just normal, right? Y'all probably know teenagers, young people. They're all a little bit self-absorbed, right? So we're not diagnosing certain things because, baby, that's just developmentally appropriate. That's just how you act at that age. You know what I mean? Ace just turned 23. He would just, not that I'm saying he needs a diagnosis, y'all, but I'm saying that there are certain things that he would just be on the radar about. Okay? So that ego, because he needs to knock Nick down a peg because of how he feels about Nick, got Alandria catching strays. Alandria was worried about being selfish in the villa, but this was the most selfish response anybody could have given. Because the reality is you don't know. That was the answer. I don't know. I haven't talked to Nick about their connection since I left the villa. I don't know where they are today. That was the answer. But you needed to clown Nick because you want to call into question his character and his integrity because of how you feel about Nick. And now you got Alandria catching strays while you saying That's your sister. He's mad at Nick, and this is how you know the man is petty, right? He's mad at Nick and is best friends with Taylor. So y'all, again, I've said to y'all 1,000 times about Nick and Taylor, right? That ultimately it boils down to character. Who do you want to be as a man? Who do you want to be in relationship with as a man? And if that's your bestie, that's because now we're post-reunion airing. Thank you so much. We're post-reunion airing, and that's what you have to say? Curious. Y'all are going to hear me get ice. I'm sorry. Curious. Okay. So when he says this, I need y'all to remember the timeline. I need you to listen to everything that man is telling us. He ain't really talking to Nick. He ain't really talked to Nick in some months on some deep emotional shit. Some like basic, hey, kick it, what's up, how you doing, whatever, but not too much of nothing else. The tickle monster, you must be new over here because I don't never operate like that. I don't defend him. Everybody gets to smoke on my page. Even my faves. Wrong page for that, boo-boo. I know it's a bunch of y'all in here that probably ain't never been on my page. You stopped because you seen Ace, but that's not, we use our whole brains over here. We go deep. If you don't have the range, this may not be the space for you. Katie, because what? Exactly. He gave more smoke to Nick than to Helga because he was mad that on Watch What Happens Live, when Nick got the question, and it really, I think the question came to Nick and Alandria, which was really, thank you, about them trying to be messy with Alandria, right? About whether or not the right couples were in the Final Four. Nick said, ultimately, they're the right couples because that's who America voted to have there. It doesn't matter that Nick was like, no, I don't think he's the ringleader. No, I don't think. It doesn't matter that he defended all those other parts of his character. How dare Nick not say that my couple should have been in the Final Four? Because it actually did matter to Ace. And he wants to act like it doesn't matter to him, but it did. Otherwise, that wouldn't upset him. Because we've listened to Nick in other interviews defend portions, like things about Ace's character. So why are you so mad about that statement? Because you thought you were going to come out and that what's happening with Nick Alandria would happen with Shalace. Now I'm list A. But he's had to spend so much time to not his fault. He has had to spend so much time because of how production moved, re-sanitizing his image. I can't even see everything, Jules. But not everybody that comes regularly is a sub. I don't want to let them not be able to talk, so it's okay. He's had to spend, which is not fair to him. That's not fair to him. That's not fair to him that production did that to him. And he's had to spend a lot of time re-sanitizing that image. And I think that what he thought would happen, because let's just keep it a buck, like Ace, you're an influencer because you like being in front of the camera. He likes being on a stage. There's nothing wrong with that. It's nothing wrong with that. Exactly, P. His op is production, not Nick. Why are you mad at Nick about that comment? To the point where you would get on this podcast and say what you said. Athena, yes, I just started like 15 minutes ago. And say what you said. And now Alandria is going to catch strays. And again, and I said in my video that I posted, what's interesting is that their New York Times, Nick went on Watch What Happens Live and he answered a question and basically said the right couples were there because that's who America voted for. Hold on. Let me block the tickle person, the tickle monster, whatever the fuck their name is. Or did y'all already do it? I feel like my mods got to them before I could. Comment again so I can block you, please. And he was being diplomatic, and he was trying to take that heat off of Alandria because the comment had came to both of them. So he was trying to respond for them so that Alandria wouldn't have to be messy. Exactly. Thank you, mods. My mods are in here. Y'all are on it. Thank you. Because we have way more than usual because his space is up here and it's dropping. So now they in here acting up. So he's up. His op is production. But he's mad about Nick making that statement because he absolutely thought he was going to come out into the world. Hi, son. And that there was going to be an opportunity for them to rise to the fame that Nick and Landria rose to. I agree, Fresh, because that's what he started the interview with. It was like, now why are you saying that? Wait, Tickle, comment again. Why are you saying that? Why are you starting an interview with people riding a 15 minutes with a couple and blah, 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 blah? It will be P. I'll post it onto, I will post it onto, thank you, onto YouTube. Thank you so much for, oh shit, subscribing, Zena. My bad, y'all. I poured that too fast. I was trying to read the chat. So that said, again, their interview, Alandria and Nick's interview dropped today, where she literally said, when y'all take shots at him, you take shots at me. And then an hour after this interview dropped, she posted a tweet. Thank you for subscribing, Gemma. She posted a tweet that basically said, anyway, child, my Tuskegee event went amazing. He was so arrogant and self-absorbed in that fucking interview that all he could think about was, I need to knock Nick down a peg. He didn't give a fuck about what the consequence was going to be for Alandria. But that's his sister. Oh, there you go. There you go. There you go. Let me get you. Let me get you. Ew. Now you could be in here watching, but you can't talk. What my sister said, you can hate from outside the club. So it was giving, hi Millie Mae. It was giving, again, the most responsible answer to that question would have been, you know what? I actually don't know where Nick and Alandria are today because I haven't had any, like I told you, I haven't had any conversations with Nick that have been deep and emotional since we left the villa. That was the truth. That was the truth. But now he's not only threatened his relationship with Nick, but he's threatened his relationship with Alandria and Shelly's relationship with Alandria. And that actually hurts my feelings for Alandria. The truth was he didn't fucking know because he told us in the interview that the last conversation he had with Nick was before he left the villa. So why are you speaking on it today? Why are you speaking on it today? If the last conversation you had was at the fucking villa. The answer is, I don't know. I don't know. It's okay to not know. It's okay. And it's okay if you're skeptical, but tell the truth. The truth is you don't fucking know. But you want to be, because you're mad at Nick today, you moved selfishly. Because that ego is at play. Y'all be mad when I bring up the age, but developmentally, that actually makes sense. He got a couple more years before that stops being the default. And so because he did that to Nick, now Alandria is getting backlash. And that makes me so fucking sad for her because she, to his fucking point, she came out to, so she got dealt such a bad hand and motherfucker, you just contributed. Did you not think that shit through? No, you know why? Because his fucking frontal lobe does not finish developing. Why y'all be mad when I be saying that shit? He couldn't think through his actions. He couldn't think it all the way through. He couldn't think about the consequences long term. All he could think about was his fucking self and what he felt about Nick in that moment. And that pisses me off. That disappoints me so much. Because he wouldn't want somebody to do it to him. So why would you do it to her? Well, we know why. Because he really truly literally cannot think through the consequences of some of his actions. Yeah, the fact that he made up with Jeremiah is cool. That's cute. I love it. The fact that he's saying Brian is his man's, yeah, tracks. Tracks. And Taylor, two men that lack integrity are your mans? Those are your mans? child, I can't even. I'm so. Yes, he was. That's what all of that was motivated by. Him hating on Nick. It's giving. And that's it. Because y'all, I usually don't be, SK said, I ain't seen you like this before, Tina. Because usually I can control it, but like this, I was like this after the reunion about Helga. But this just because y'all motherfucker, he's so inconsiderate to have said what he said. And here's why I know he's not, it don't make no sense. Some things don't make no sense because he's like, and I told Nick this. But I listened to the interview with Nick and Alandria on New York Times, and after the reunion aired, they did a follow-up call that they included in the podcast. And hi, Anika, in the podcast, the fact he stood up for Taylor 3D, be for real, exactly, Jamila. In the podcast, Nick says he's looking forward to hanging out, with Ace. So had you really talked to him? Did you really tell him that? Because why is Nick saying that if he knows that that's how you feel about him right now? It's weird. It's weird. He has not, I keep it a buck, I'm straight, I'm this, I'm that. You obviously didn't keep it straight with Nick, because why does he think that why does he not know? Why did Nick find out when we found out? But that's the point, Kenny, right? It's like, Ace, you said that you told him that. When? When did you tell him that? No, not that Kenny. It's another Kenny. And so it's not giving, he's not being honest. At least about that part, And he wasn't honest about Nick hyped this interview up even worse. Because again, Nick thinks he's your friend, so it doesn't make sense that you're now telling us these things. And Nick basically told him well, I'm done with all of that. And I get how that might have been hurtful, but that was a conversation to have with your friend, not the internet. Not the internet. That's crazy. That's crazy. But this goes back to Taylor's going live to react to this podcast, because that's the only way Taylor gonna have any motion. And all these motherfuckers, right? Is y'all stir up the pot around Nick and Alandria so that y'all can have motion. That's weird. That's weird. Who does that? Who does that? Exactly, son. Nick was doing what he thought he needed to do in order to keep it cute. Oh, damn. Y'all already almost hit the subscription goal. That's crazy. I'm going to pin this one more time, because if we hit this, I will be back later. But hi, Chris. Oh, thank you, Camilla. Y'all were more than halfway there. Y'all could do this. Easy peasy. Lemon squeezy. But the fact that they're hyping up, or talking down on Alandria and Nick, as if Alandria is not going to catch no strays from that. It's giving selfish. It's giving self-absorbed. It's giving I just turned 23. And y'all could be mad if you want to. But I know how I was at 23. And I was very mature for my age. Just like Ace. I had a lot of fucking trauma. I went through a lot of shit. Okay? I've been responsible for myself for a long ass time. And I was still a fucking kid compared to what I was when I was fucking grown. Oh, thank you for subscribing, Mama's Truth. And this is him showing his age. Y'all be mad when I say it, and it is what it is. No, I mean, not maybe some of y'all in here, I don't know. But I know, the people that watch me all the time, y'all don't be mad when I say that. Thank you for subscribing, Kimberly. We said Nick's friendship with Taylor will die soon. Today will be the day. Fontaine. I said, what did I say to y'all? What did I say? Wait until after the reunion airs and watch what happens. I think a lot of relationships will shift. And that's not even no like super prophetic nothing. That's just like on some real shit. Thank you for subscribing. People are not obligated to certain things anymore. So now I get to say what the fuck I want to say. And you know what? You're going to start seeing people's true colors. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for renewing. I do need the lottery numbers, y'all. Hold on. Let me tap in. No, on God though, y'all. I know I need to just play it and retire all of us. I remember my day ones. Okay, but no, for real. Did y'all hear that nobody hit it? Nobody hit the lotto. Nobody hit the Powerball, whatever. So it's like a hella bunch of money right now. Do I think Shelly knew what, baby? That he was going to say all this? I mean, in my last video, wait, did I post that to the public? No, I don't think I posted it to the public. Thank you for subscribing. In my last video, I think it's a sub-only video, though. I already talked about him having hater tendencies before. So it wouldn't be new if I thought that. But I don't even, it's not even that I think he's being a hater per se. I think he is hurt. And the way that hurt is coming out is by let me go out of myself. And he is misdirecting, right? His issue is with production. Right? His issue is with America and how they voted, right? But instead, I'm going to aim that at Nick. And now Alandria is catching strays because of it. Somebody asked me what will happen when Shelly gets bigger than him. Y'all really want to know what I think? Y'all want me to tell you my real thoughts? Y'all gonna clip me. Y'all gonna be messy. Y'all probably know what my real thoughts are. Tay, see, I've never been an ace defender. I'm always going to do nuance. You know what I mean? I'm always going to do nuance. You feel me? More than one thing can be true at a time. Like, this man is sad. He's anxious. He doesn't deserve to have come out to what he came out to, right? And all of that is a reflection of production and the way that they produced the show. And I say all the fucking time in here, you can make a mountain out of a molehill, but you cannot make a mountain out of nothing. Baby, you still gave them the content. When y'all told me that he was hating on Jeremiah, I doubled down that he wasn't hating on Jeremiah. Is that what you're saying? You're not a sub, so I know you haven't seen my latest videos. I don't share every take publicly. But I will say this, y'all. To the question of what I think happens when Shelly becomes bigger than him, I don't think that will ever happen if they stay in a relationship. I think that they will attempt to be power couple. Thank you for subbing, Ebony. Correct. I think he wants to be power couple. And so I don't see it ever getting to a place where she gets bigger than him while they're in a relationship. Oh no, Joy, oh boy, she said not for multiple years. She doesn't want to get pregnant. Now y'all cut it out with this Napoleon complex, okay? Because I'm a short girl too. Yeah, again, y'all, it's just a lot of it is youth. A lot of it is youth. I hope it does not change Alandria and Shelly's friendship. I'm only 5 feet. I hope it doesn't change their friendship. Thank you for subscribing. Yeah, I think honestly, I don't know how. Oh, thank you, Angelia. I don't know how it doesn't impact the friendship, if I'm being honest. But it's gonna be. I thought they was gonna shit, y'all. I thought this reunion was gonna happen. We was gonna have a couple little think pieces about the reunion. We was gonna move the fuck on, and here he come. Here he come with this shit. Okay, I was ready for us to take a break until Love Island games, and then here he fucking come. Like, damn. I was ready to pack it up. Yeah, you know. Again, y'all, the people that are like, I want to know his thought process. Like, why did he do this? I'm gonna keep coming back to age, because he quite literally can't think through all of his decisions. That's not no shade. That's just what his brain is doing right now still. He's still getting to the place where his frontal lobe can turn on and think about the consequences of every decision that he makes. And so selfishly, ego showed up because, again, this is also developmentally appropriate, and he's hurt. He's bruised. His ego is bruised that they didn't make it to the Final Four because we were the strongest couple at that point. He's bruised because we were the strongest couple and we came out and we didn't have the same level of motion, right? And that frontal lobe is not helping him right now. And he's anxious and hurt. So all of that was a perfect storm for him to get on here and say some shit when he really should have just been a grown-up and said, you know what? I don't fucking know. I haven't talked to him since we left the villa about their relationship. Hi, Tiffany. Thank you so much, y'all, for subscribing. That was the most honest answer. And that's what he should have said. Oh, Lynn, have they been crazy on here today? I can imagine. He basically said that the producers forced Taylor onto Alandria. Here's the thing about that. We know that production will sometimes get in it when it comes to like couplings and pairings, okay? Like, because we know that happened with Leah and Miguel, right? And that was really disgusting of him because he knows good and goddamn well that herpes comment was so fucking whack on his end, because he knows good and goddamn well that they all do full STD panels. So that's how I know you just in here being a messy ass hoe. You just being mean. You just being mean. You're being gross. Immature, yes. He basically, Speedy said it seemed to be a cold sore outbreak at one point. Is that what was going on? And he's like, yes, Jules. Instead of just saying, nah, I don't know what it was, but, you know, we get full STD panels, so nobody would have come in with anything. Just exactly. Nick already cleared it up, and so did other Islanders when they left. So why are you doing that? Except to be a messy asshole. I will say this too. So about the Taylor being forced onto Alandria. Production, to your point, they cannot force you, but they can sway you. Hi, Erica. We know that like last season, Leah and Miguel told us that production was trying to keep them away from each other. But what happened? They ended up together because, you know what? When you have a fucking backbone and it's not more important to stay on the island than to find your person, you do what you're supposed to do in order to prioritize yourself. So I think, you know, he just wanted to defend his mans. Tay-Tay. I think he wanted to defend his mans and his man's honor. Hi, Huda. And so, but people were mad at him about Taylor. What if he just wants to be honest about his opinion now? I don't think he is being honest. That's the thing. I think that production might have had like they wanted to maybe influence, but we've heard that before, but people still do what they want to do. Wasn't nobody like, Taylor, if you don't stick with the Landria, we're gonna send you home off it. They weren't so you're not telling the whole story. And he never confirmed. I wish Speedy would have stopped talking just in this one moment. Because he asked him, he said, do you know this because he told it to you? And then he asked another question. So he never answered that part. Because how do you know that production was influencing it? Exactly. They brought Jalen in for her. So what are you talking about? Exactly. As someone that sits in, someone said as a mental health case manager, everything he's saying is tactical. As the clinician, I can tell he's saying things in certain ways and not saying things. You understand? Because he could have said, I think they're fake, but he didn't. Why? He left it open so that y'all could draw conclusions based on his conversation from 2 months ago. So that way he can't ever say, well, I said y'all was fake. He could say, well, what I said was, the last conversation I had with you 2 months ago was. Do you understand? He's leaving it open for interpretation. He's manipulating the narrative around them. Exactly. Plausible deniability. Well, I never actually said that. Hey, boo. So I just want us to be mindful. Thank y'all for the gifts. I want us to be mindful that Nick Alandrian should not be in an uproar about whether or not Nick and Alandria are being honest about what they're telling us, because again, everything he told us was what we had already heard for ourselves 2 months ago, because that's the last conversation he's talking about. And I really am disappointed at the fact that because that's where it should be. Y'all should just be mad at Ace. She did say that, Huda. She said, child, anyways, exactly. And Huda, she did say that when you take a shot at him, you come for me. He's an extension of me. Now you're coming for me. That was so whack on his part. Because it's one thing, well, the last conversation they had about their romantic relationship, I don't think was on his birthday. Because he didn't say that. He said the last conversation I had with him about it was in the villa, and this is what he told me. And then he tells us that since they've left the villa, they haven't really been having deep emotional conversations. Yeah, so Ace is even contradicting himself. Again, it's just he's mad at Nick. He's mad at Nick because Nick went on Watch What Happens Live and said America voted for those couples to be there, so they made sense. And now he's doing this. And he's not realizing that by being mad at Nick and throwing shots at Nick, Alandria is going to catch strays. Exactly, Ashley. If they haven't had deep conversations since the villa, he shouldn't even be speaking on anything at this point. Thank you for the gifts, y'all. Thank you for all the gifts. Alandria unfollowed him. Exactly. Nick has defended him on so many platforms. So for him to be mad at that response, thank you, Ashley. And that's the thing. This is y'all really want me to get into it. Y'all really want me to get into it. This is what happens when your ego's so fucking big that you cannot consider anybody but your fucking self. Now, who's always, and he should fucking know better. Now I'm mad again. He should fucking know better. He was raised by a single black mother. He knows that some of the most unprotected people in the United States is the black woman. And there are different ways that they can be marginalized to have even less protection, right? The fact that this, okay, she does still follow Ace. Okay, so that was propaganda. She still follows him. The fact that he would get on this fucking internet and say what he said, without thinking about what the blowback was going to be on the two black women that he says that he loves and cares about. As if they hadn't already came out to a hate train. On what platform did she unfollow him, y'all? What platform? He just reignited the train. And this is what happens when you think you are the motherfucking program. When it's all about fucking you. Because ain't no motherfucking way I don't go online and provide you cover. I should be providing you cover. But his immaturity, his lack of, his brain being fully developed, and that ego, that again, all of this is common at his age, kept him from being able to do that. And it disappoints me. Because when Ace got out of that villa, I felt a lot of empathy for Ace. I felt a lot of empathy for Ace because he did want to really re-sanitize himself. He was really trying to be out in the community and doing his big one, which apparently is how he showed up before being in the villa. I never followed Ace. I don't know nothing about that man, okay? I'm not like a follow influencer type of person like that. You know what I mean? So I didn't know. And I felt a lot of empathy for him because I was like, damn, he's really trying to show us this is not my full story. This is not all of who I am. And so I felt a lot of empathy for him that was the only way that America talked about him. Because I've always had my critiques about Ace, but y'all know that I am big on, thank you for the gifts, I am big on nuance. It's okay, Indy. I'm big on nuance. More than one thing can be true at a time. Okay, they're both still following Ace. More than one thing can be true at a time. I can critique this thing about your behavior. It doesn't mean I have to fucking hate you as a person. So I felt a lot of sympathy and empathy for him when he came out of the villa because of what he experienced at the hands of production. I don't follow Louis. TT, I didn't see nothing that Louis posted because I'm not attached to Hilga or nobody attached to Hilga. So for him to then see the hate train that Shelly and Alandria were getting, and then to get on this podcast and think he's taking shots at Nick without being able to realize what this is going to do to both Alandria and Shelly, it makes me sad that he couldn't take a beat. Danny, so as not to call her stands into my space. It's like saying Beetlejuice 3 times. If you say it too many times, they start flooding the lives. It makes me sad that he couldn't stop and think long enough because he should know better about some things. You're welcome, Danny. So I'm very disappointed in him for doing this. I'm very disappointed in him for, again, plausible. Oh, okay, y'all, we are literally one away, and I will be back later. One away. Wow. Good shit, y'all. Good shit. And this goes back to what I said, y'all, right? About, and other people in the comments, right? About how, I'll be back later tonight, y'all. Y'all did it. Y'all hit the goal. Clock it. um, he said enough to have people wonder things, but didn't just say shit. Oh, I love you too, Ginger. But didn't just say it, right? And so that way he could say, well, I never actually said that. Josh, but you're in here with me, babes. You're in here with me. Exactly. He gave nothing but gave enough. He said just enough for people to be like, what? He said just enough. Yes, Ginger, I'm going to do a panel later. Because I can't say how long, y'all, because y'all know therapists have therapists too. So he said just enough to shake some shit up without actually saying anything. Right? It's not a good look. It's not a good look. Him saying, you know, basically, what I'm curious about, I think at this point, y'all, what I'm really curious about, and I don't know if it'll happen, is I'm curious if production will come out and directly say that he was lying. Like, will they release things or make it clear that, like, he was lying? I'm wondering, is it because some people are saying, clock it, user, clock it. Again, that's that ego. I don't have to defend you while they lighten you up all over the internet, but I expect you to defend me. And then as if Nick didn't actually defend him in plenty of fucking interviews. Y'all are asking me, what did he lie about? A couple of people asked that question. I will say this, that plenty of Islanders have come out and said that when they're doing the votes, they ask like for insight, and they're like, and we watched all that boring ass fucking reunion last season. We watched a whole fucking dumping for like 20 something minutes of them doing the dumping conversation where production's like, hey, you need an answer. I can't help you guys. Just go with your gut. You know, like we need an answer. So they told you to go stand behind Huda. Ace. They said you have to stand behind Huda. What about Amaya and Brian? He wanted to stand behind her because he needed Jalen to go home so that Taylor would be cool. Like, keep it a motherfucking buck. If anybody outside of Ace confirms, yes, sometimes we are influenced by production, I'll believe it. But because we have seen an actual footage of a dumping and Islanders have said that they won't tell them what to do, I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it. And then the fact that he was like, oh, yeah, you know, people thought that I was enjoying it. You know, I was uncomfortable. I believe him that he probably was uncomfortable. Maybe he was just fawning. And that was what made him smile and pat on her ass. I don't know. I think that there were parts that were uncomfortable, but I think that there were also parts that he enjoyed, and he needed to just be honest about that. That's cute for you, Lydia. Fawning, Miriam, is a traumatic, it's like a trauma response where what you will do when you feel maybe in danger or uncomfortable or like you might be threatened in some way, that you will, instead of like fighting or getting away, you will instead sort of like try to appease the person. It might look like affection toward the person. It's what y'all, so in my live or in my video about Taylor and Clark and those abuse cycles where she goes in to hug him and she's trying to diffuse and she's like kind of kiss him. That's what fawning looks like in real time. Thank you. Oh, Jada, if you don't know how to go deep, just say that, y'all. I don't think he lied about everything. I think he allowed his ego to get in the way of him being most honest about what was happening with Nick and Alandria. Because, and again, this goes back to, again, that manipulation tactic, right? Because he never said Nick and Alandria are fake. He just didn't say anything. And he knew that people would draw conclusions based on what he said his last conversation was with Nick, even though he said to everybody in that interview that that conversation was before he left the villa. He knew that. And so this is why he can't be, oh, you lied. Yeah, no, because I mean, technically he didn't outright lie because he didn't say shit. But he also didn't tell the truth. Yeah, he did this podcast on Tuesday. They recorded on Tuesday. Exactly, MX. Yeah. It's lying by omission, right? Yeah, he recorded it on Tuesday. And what's crazy, right, is that the follow-up conversation again that Nick had with the whatever that love podcast is, whatever it's called, the one with New York Times, he was saying how he like wanted to hang out with Ace. I'm looking forward to hanging out with like Ace because I noticed that he didn't say Taylor. And so again, Ace saying, and I've told him all this, have you? Because then why is he acting how he's acting? It's giving, again, you're not actually shooting straight. So yeah, I just Ace moved very intentionally in this conversation. It's why a person like Ace was able to build the following that he has, right? If y'all think the man is not smart, he's smart as fuck, of course. But his youth is contributing to that ego, and that lack of frontal lobe development is making him do and say things where he's not thinking through the impact of everybody else on everybody else. User, I was never, people that have been in my lives before that are on my page, have I ever been an Ace stan? Please comment quickly. Have I ever been in here being an Ace fan or stan? People that follow me, clock it. Please let them know. Please let them know. So ain't nobody in here switching up, okay? For me, it's always nuanced. I'm a grown up. More than one thing can be true at a time. Everybody can get it. Even my faves. I don't care. Right is right and wrong is wrong. Period. 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 Because people are humans. They're never going to be perfect. They're never going to get it right 100% of the time. And so I'm always going to speak to that too. I'm not going to strip them from their humanity, and they can only ever be perfect in my lives or in the way that I talk about them. Like that's so dehumanizing that I only let them show up one way. No, I don't do that. My thoughts about Ace in a nutshell, somebody asked. My thoughts about Ace in a nutshell, I perceive Ace as someone that is very receptive and open to feedback. I think that he is very mature for his age. I believe that Ace has a very kind heart. I think that Ace is also very ego driven and sometimes inconsiderate because of I do chalk a lot of that up to age. I would feel differently about him if he was like 26, 27 and still acted some of these ways. We'll have to see with time, right? And yeah, I think he has a lot of potential to be an amazing person. I think he needs to, there's some areas for growth still. Those are my thoughts about him. And Ace looks a lot like my little brother. So I think he's adorable. Like little brother, kind of cute. The tweet. I did mention her tweet. Do I think who can salvage anything? Nick and Ace? Is that what you mean? Do I think they can salvage like their friendship? I'll have to put up a picture one day of my brother for y'all so y'all can see. I'll do a side by side of why I think they look alike. I think that the only way it could be salvaged, because I never want to like count something out. I do. So here's what I think. I think that number one, Nick probably doesn't realize that he hurt Ace's feelings. I don't think that they're not friends anymore. Ace pretty much said it. He named Jeremiah, Brian, Alandria, Shelly, and Taylor. He did not name Nick. So that's what he said to us. So I don't think that Nick realizes that Ace's feelings were hurt by it. Right? And I think that Nick would be open to a conversation around it, because I don't think that Nick was meaning to, like, for it to be hurtful by him saying that the Final Four couples were the right couples because America voted them to be there, because that's what Ace said. Oh, you say one thing about the final couples behind closed doors and another thing publicly. So he was upset by that. I don't think that Nick knew that his feelings were going to be hurt by that. I don't think he meant to hurt his feelings by saying that. It's the only reason he gave us SG. I can think of some other things that maybe are at play, but he didn't tell us that. So I don't know that, right? I think that Nick would have been open to a conversation, but at this point, now you've done it publicly, right? And he already said that he said to Nick, what did he say? He said, hold on. He said that he told Nick, like, that he wanted to have something defended, and Nick was like, I'm pretty much like done with it at this point. Like, I guess Nick was saying, like, I don't want to keep talking about it like publicly in the press or whatever. Nick has been telling us for a long time that he's over the drama. He doesn't want to keep talking about certain things. So I can imagine that what could happen for Nick, I don't know. Okay, it was the Final Four comment. I think what could happen for Nick, I don't know, is that Nick might be like, damn, here you are in the public. I don't want to keep doing the public shit like that. And so I'm just going to be cool off you. That could happen. Because Nick has he's been telling us for a while that he doesn't want to keep doing all the negativity. Right? Nick has been very intentional about only speaking highly of people, even people that he didn't fuck with it. He would do what we call the sandwich method. I'll say a kind thing, I'll say my problem, I'll end with a kind thing. I don't know that Nick has responded. See, I hear you about, I don't think that means he should have dismissed Ace. I agree. I don't think he needed to be dismissive. I also don't know that Ace is telling me the whole truth, though. Because Ace definitely feels a way about Nick. So, again, I have to consider the source, right? I have to know as a grown-up, right, as a clinician, you know, when I sit with my clients and you're telling me the story, I know that it's being filtered through how you feel about that person and your experience, right? So I don't know that I'm getting the whole story of what actually happened with it. Because I don't know what we saw in the villa. I don't know that I think that Nick would just be like, well, I don't care. Exactly. We watched Nick. He's not dismissive. I don't know that I think he would be like, I don't care. I think he might have said something like, you know, I hear you. Like, I apologize. Like, I could see him easily doing that and then saying something like, I don't want to keep talking about it in the press. Like, I just want to like move on from that. And then that was what he heard. That was the part of the sentence that he stuck to. Like, I could also see that easily being what actually happened. Nick did not dismiss the Sierra thing. I don't know if you're being for real or just trying to rage bait in here. He is over the Love Island discourse. He's been saying that for a while. So again, I don't know how that conversation happened, but I agree. If Nick was to be dismissive, I don't think that would be okay. That said, I don't know if they can actually. What's on Amaya's story? Why do I need to go check it? What's on there? Just tell me what's on there. I think they could work it out, but I think it becomes much more complicated the further out that they get. Oh, she announced the breakup officially. Y'all already knew that. Thank you for telling me, y'all.
This is a vile waste.
I do, Marie. What do you think of Ace? So I think he's a manipulator. I think he definitely manipulated this conversation. He said just enough without saying anything directly. You know what I mean? That said, right, I do think that they could work it out. I think it becomes very complicated again the longer that it comes out. Like the further that they get removed from the villa, the harder it's going to be to keep working things out. Do you know what I mean? Like, okay, let me explain why. Because when we're first coming out of the villa, it's so much going on that it's like, ooh, everything is everywhere. You know, like, ooh, we need to just have a conversation. Da, 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 da. But like now it's like, okay, it's been like a couple of months. And we've seen each other a couple times. And now you're still saying this. At some point, I'm probably not going to be as invested in making it work. Does that make sense? And so I could see Nick being like, I'm tired. Like, I could see that, and I wouldn't be mad at that. Exactly. I don't think that Nick owes a public apology. Who does Nick owe a public apology to? I don't know how to say your name, so I don't want to say a name. I'm going to say Rocky Yacht. If I said that wrong, I'm sorry. You said, why would Nick say that it was a physical attraction and not romantic? I'm going to repeat it one more time for y'all because you might have just come in here. If you listen to the interview, he tells you, based on the last conversation that I had with him before I left the villa, he told him that because that was true 3 months ago, 2 months ago, however long ago it was. And that's the last conversation that he had about that. And we all heard Nick say that on TV. Like, that got aired. That's not news. But he's saying it. And then leaving the space open to breathe around, well, do you think they're real or no? So that people will then draw conclusions. Because a lot of people, unfortunately, do not listen to understand or to comprehend. Their comprehension is a challenge for them, especially people that are watching and maybe English is not their first language. It's so much, right? And so he left it open rather than just being direct. And that's cute. You don't have to. Yes, somebody was supposed to tag me in that accusation about Ace and the grape stuff. Do you want to tag me in it? Now, I will say this, y'all, about Shelly. I will say this about Shelly. I am not a fan of holding women accountable for men's behavior. I'm not going to punish Shelly because of something this man did. Shelly is accountable for her own self. Now, if you want to unfollow Shelly, that is your own business, but I just don't function like that. The only time I'm gonna get to that point is when it's like for example, y'all gonna be mad. Y'all gonna be mad. But like Nicki Minaj marrying a convicted rapist. You made a choice. Defending her brother, again, you're making a choice. That says something about your character. But just doing it because you're attached to a man that moved weird, I don't fuck with that. I don't fuck with that.
Couldn't agree more.
Personally.
Lance just
You don't even know. What are you talking about? Y'all just be in here yapping. Stop spreading false rumors. Aren't you supposed to be? Are you done with school for today? Do I think Nick and Leandra can get through this? I don't think this is something for them to need to get through, if I'm honest. I feel like they cool with each other. You know, they got their little shit popping. They got their little shit cracking. You know what I'm saying? And ultimately they gonna move how they want to move. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think that this interview is gonna make anything happen between them. Muted. Now y'all can hate from outside the club. I love when y'all get to stay in here, but you don't get to talk. That's my favorite thing. Yes, I did watch the whole interview. Yeah, they've been said that they weren't going to keep sharing online. They said that in their New York Times interview as well. And if y'all remember, I said weeks ago, and people were trying to, you need to, and I was like, listen, all I'm saying is that I want them to know that they're going to have our support, even if they don't keep sharing online, because people, you have to be careful about fans. They will build you up in order to tear you back down. Right? When you ascend to popularity a little too fast, you run that risk. And so I was like, so I want them to know that they could take a step back and find that balance for themselves. They don't owe us everything. So I'm enthusiastic to hear that that's what they're doing for themselves. Also, okay, somebody asked me to talk about him basically, Miriam, I will go live again at 5 tonight. I'll hang out for another 15 minutes, y'all. And then I'll do a panel tonight, because I know y'all got thoughts. I will say too, about the STD stuff, right? Somebody asked me to talk about that. That's so dangerous, and it's just so petty and messy. Oh, yes. Okay, so it'll be, tell me what your time zone is, and I'll try to convert for you. Now I want them to get okay, so Eastern time, it would be 7 o'clock. Eastern time, 7 o'clock, y'all. Pacific time, 4 o'clock. Central time, 6 o'clock. You're welcome. Central time, 6 o'clock. Yep. So him alluding to like them getting a travel show on Netflix 10 times more, that's so funny. I want them to, yeah, I'm gonna do a panel, SG. And y'all, y'all know, if you've been in here with me before, you know that I do prioritize subscribers on the panel. And it's a shit ton of y'all at this point. So I'm gonna have to figure out how to manage that better. But like, he was alluding to, I think he was alluding to Nick and Austin. Exactly, perpetuating a stigma around an STD that is so fucking common. Number one, so many people have that. My scarf is too tight at this point, y'all. So many people have that. Get cold sores, because you can literally get it because you drank off of somebody's fucking straw, like, and they happen to be having an outbreak. Like, it's a very commonly acquired illness. And the fact that he would allude to that rather than just saying, no, we get a full STD panel so nobody came in here with some shit that they could spread, is actually crazy. And it's a level of like, that's gross. That's actually so cruel. That you would, exactly, 50% of this country, that's so cruel that you would go there. Exactly. We know what's cleared up. It's just the fact that he chose to be, because I'm mad at you, I'm going to be so petty, further stigmatizing. Like, that's just weird. Why would you do that? And that goes back to that. Listen, y'all. Y'all was mad when I said it. Not y'all. Exactly. You can be stressed out and get one. Your hormones can change. You like it's so fucking common. It is giving 23. Because this goes back to, and people were mad as fuck when I said this on that video about all my predictions of the final couples. And I said that one of the things I was worried about or not worried about, but one of the things that I thought they needed to work on with Shalace was that emotional immaturity. And he's 23 now. He's not 22 anymore. I said the emotional immaturity, and I clocked for y'all, and then he confirmed exactly what the fuck I said in this interview too. So I'm gonna have to go clip that because I told y'all motherfuckers. But he said, right after the heart rate challenge happened, he said she had me, she gave it to me for a week. He said, y'all didn't see me smile for 4 episodes straight. So like the fuck I said, I don't give a fuck about what conversations they had afterwards. That nigga didn't start smiling again until she made him breakfast at the dock. And who had to do that labor? Shelly. And I said one of the things I was concerned about is how when they had their one conflict that they had on that island, it boiled down to Shelly having to do the emotional labor and lift of repairing the relationship, even though she was the one that felt hurt first. He got mad because she was mad. Keep it a fucking buck. And I said that that's something that they're going to have to pay attention to and that they would have to work on because that can be very exhausting and build resentment if you don't deal with it. And now we're seeing his feelings are hurt by Nick. He didn't talk to Nick. He went on a goddamn podcast. And he allowed them hurt feelings to have him saying shit and not saying shit, but saying shit to cause harm to Nick. And now he has hurt 2 other people in the process. So like the fuck I said, did he, Netta? Because if he did, then why was Nick promoting it? Why was Nick saying how great Ace is? Why was Nick saying how he can't still wait to hang out with Ace, but Ace is not even listing him as one of his friends? He lied. He didn't tell the truth completely. Not the full truth. He might have told us part of it, but he didn't tell the whole truth. I'm glad she announced what we all already knew. You see what I'm saying? So when I say things, I don't just be saying things. People be feeling like I'm saying shit because I'm a hater. I don't know these people to hate on these people. I'm just telling y'all, based as a clinician, when I'm watching their behavior, these are the things that I see. And I clocked that emotional immaturity very early. That's not no slight on Ace. He's fucking, at the time, 22. He's young as fuck. And he's never been in a relationship before. Shelly's his first girlfriend. Like, why are y'all mad at me saying that? And then we see him now doing it again with Nick. Thank you for giving me my 10s. You have been clocking everything, sis. Thank you, Wayne, because I really have. Like,
Hey, it's okay. Don't you worry. Your good friend Walter.
I don't just be saying shit. This is like my actual job. I know how to read body language and behaviors, y'all. Who did? Who commented underneath New York Times?
Look at you. I can't not look at you, Walter. I can see
Amina, yes, he didn't think it through because he literally can't, y'all. Oh, Nick did. And it's like, I just wish that people would... somebody can be your favorite person and you can still observe things about their behaviors. That doesn't have to be a negative. Exactly. He kept saying he didn't realize that that Nicolandria was so big. And he started the interview again, y'all. Like, he started the interview talking about people like using their 15 minutes and like how he's controlling his image and blah, 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 blah. Who's been big popping shit since they left the villa, y'all? Who's been big popping shit? So we know who he was talking about. Why do Ace and Taylor want to humble and humiliate Alandria and embarrass her so much? You know, I honestly wouldn't have said that about Ace before this interview, because he hadn't really said too much of anything to make me feel like that. I think that it's about, this goes, I made a video, I made that only for subscribers, my bad. But I have made a video before where I talked to y'all about how if male privilege is going to show up, or blackness, the men are going to align with their manhood, because that's the identity that gives them the most power. And so I think that a lot of what happened also in this is them trying to protect each other. I've talked to y'all before. Men perform for other men. Right? Which is why Andu puppy, the black community knows, right? We heard him say in this interview how he was telling all the other men how they got to do this for the women, and how to court, and how to do this and this and that. Blah, 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 blah. They wasn't showing up like that for the women because they cared about what the women thought about them doing it. They was doing it because this man said I should do it. Homoerotic friendships is a thing.
Let me think about that. No.
I think that in this interview, Ace was trying to protect Taylor in some ways. So they started showing up how they were showing up because the man told them to, according to him. And again, for me, like I've said about Nick 1,000 times, when it comes to Taylor has shown himself to be a man of poor character. If he broke up with Alandria yesterday, he still should evaluate whether or not he wants to be a friend to Taylor. Because Taylor has shown himself to be a man of poor character. And is that who I, as a man, want to be aligned with? Is that who I want to say, yeah, that's representative of me? Though he represents values and morals that I align with, that's my homie. And the same goes for Ace. Taylor, Brian, the clout chaser? Brian, that just wanted to hop on bodies? Brian? That's weird. But it's not. If y'all have heard my takes about Ace before, it's not weird, because what have I called him in here before? He was giving Energizer Bunny when he came into that villa. He mentioned Shelly in the perspective of like one of his friends. I know he named her name at that point. And what was another time that he mentioned Shelly? Like about wanting a connection, and that when he was at the fire pit, he said he only wanted to talk to Shelly. It's really interesting because Ace is, now maybe it's different. Maybe he's, maybe they were chopping and screwing for the gods, okay? But he basically sat and told us, oh, Neek, thank you for subscribing. He sat and told us that when Andreina came in and they were sitting at that fire pit, that he said, I only want to talk to Shelly because, that's who I was focused on. But motherfucker, wasn't you the same one saying that you wanted to send Alandria home so that Coco could stay and you could keep exploring her? What are you talking about? Why are you rewriting history? It was weird. Like we didn't watch that part. Even if at that point you just wanted to explore Shelly, sir. And to somebody's point that just said it, that's why Alandria needs to watch the show. I have always said, I know that it is hard for her. She talked about it in this interview as well with New York Times. I get it. And she needs to, I think they all do for sure, But as she continues to be in the public eye, she needs to have an understanding around the way that the media, through this show, depicted her so that she can have more control over her image. Because Ace is he's attempting to control the narrative because he went back and watched the show. So now he's like, okay, let me figure out what are going to be my points that I'm going to speak to, right? And I appreciated that he watched the show back. Thank fucking God, because I'm sick of y'all saying I don't know because I didn't see it. Yeah, I think she does, Ty. I think she does understand at this point, which I'm glad for her. I hope that she has someone that she loves and trusts that can help her to process it. You know what I mean? While she's watching it. Because I think it will be a difficult watch in some ways.
Did anyone else see a pigeon?
Auto drive engaged.
I'm very disappointed in Ace with this interview. I can't say that I'm shocked by it, but I am disappointed. For him to have spent all this time being so careful about his image, being so careful about the narrative that he creates and puts out to the world, for this to be what comes out after all that space and time to really think about what you were going to say and how you were going to approach it. This is your most controlled, evolved, mature response? Was this? What would have come out if it wasn't that?
Hydrogen bomb.
I wish that they had spent more time doing that. Talk to me about you and Shelly. Just let's talk about your relationship. What's happening for y'all following the show. Ace used this interview as a way to try to get his like ones off. You know what I'm saying? And that's whatever you are entitled to do, whatever the fuck you want to do. Agreed, Liana. Because Speedy, why are we even anyway, right? Like, why are we even asking him some of these things? Exactly. All because he's hurt. And instead of picking up the phone and being emotionally mature enough to have a hard conversation with my friend, I'm going to shift focus and blame. Right? Because what did he say to Shelly when they sat down and she said, I think we need to talk about boundaries? What did he say? That doesn't make you right. Immediate defense. Immediate move the goalpost. Immediate shift the conversation. Oh, does he hate Alandria? I didn't know that about Speedy. I don't really follow Speedy's content like that. So it's very disappointing. Okay, he doesn't. I don't know. I didn't follow his content like that. Oh, I see. I see what you're saying. Yeah, exactly. His ops were production, and that's where he should have kept it. Period. That's who you were mad at. Oh, he didn't believe Nick and Alandria were real, so that's why he was motivated to ask the questions he asked. And he just happened to pick Ace on the day that Ace is mad at Nick. I think it would be really hard for them to recover, y'all. And I don't know. I don't think that that's Ace's intention right now because, again, he's young. I think he's made up in his mind. I don't give a fuck. I'm good. You know what I'm saying? I don't care. I'm not fucking with him. Blah, 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 blah. And, yes, I think he is in competition with Nick Alandria at this point. Again, y'all, I do think that, like, Ace definitely felt like they deserved to make it to the end. We also heard Shelly say this at the reunion, right? I feel like America lost the plot of the show because it's supposed to be about the strongest couple, right? So I do think that he is upset that they did not make it to the end. And I do think that he thought, you know, I can come out, I can sanitize my image, and we will get opportunities. I think he wants to be a power couple. Y'all, watch the man on the show. He called them Jay-Z and Beyonce. He wants to be a power couple. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. But that's what he wants. And that's not what's happening right now. It's Nicolandria Nation. They got a whole fucking nation. And he likes to win. Yes. So again, that's where that self-reflection comes in. That's where that self-work comes in, right? It's exactly, it doesn't have to be one or the other. Why we can't all fucking win? It's a whole fucking world out here. Why we can't all win? Why does it have to be a competition? Why you gotta pull me down so that you can be up? Because really what it is, and this will be the last thing I'm gonna clock for y'all. Oh my gosh, thank you so much. It's the last thing I'm gonna clock for y'all. Really what it is how dare this fake couple be getting what my real connection should be getting?
This is huge. They made you part of their flock.
I'm not trying to be a part of anybody's plot. Shoot. Back up, fanboy.
He needs them to not be real so that he can continue to stew in that frustration around the fact that his couple is not getting it. And that's crazy because to Amina's point, we've been calling them the core four. None of us gave a fuck about nobody else. We're like Nicolandria and Shelley's. Yay. Like they both are the winners. Like there are winners. Even me being a Nicolandria fan, Shelley's got votes in my house every time we voted. We split our votes every time. Because even with the things that I was like, oh, they could work on this, I still felt like they had potential. And I wanted to root for them. And so the fact that, hi baby, the fact that he came out of the villa, thank you so much, and didn't say anything, and then the first time you say something, this is how you move, that shit is weird. And he validated Taylor and Clark because they're not a threat. Yeah. And I would say not even just the shade room, y'all. I think it's a lot of things. I made a whole video. I think it's a lot of things that went into why Shelly and Ace got sent home. A lot of it rooted in racism, if I'm just keeping it a buck with you. And how people felt about Shelly. And the fact of what Iris and Pepe represented for them. Okay, that's my last hot ass take. They needed Iris and Pepe to be there.
You should not go up there alone. You gotta have some Walter.
But why are we taking it out on Nick and Alandria? Okay, what time is Taylor going live though? I said that a lot of the reason why Shelly and Ace got sent home by America is because people needed Iris and Pepe to be there. Oh, he's going on in an hour? And because of the racism that they had toward 5:30 Central Time. Okay. Wait, 5:30 Eastern or Central? Which one, y'all? Eastern. Okay, so that's like in an hour. Okay, so like 3:30 my time. Shit, y'all, I'm gonna just go to his page and look. I don't actually fucking want to watch his live, but I will record it to watch it later. But I will be back in a couple of hours, like 2.5 hours. I'll make another event link so y'all can go and like register for it. And I'll have a panel.
What do you want? Here's how this works.
Yeah, Taylor don't get my views. He don't get none of that shit. Okay, thank y'all so much for hitting the live goal so that we can come back this evening. I will have the panel open. Y'all already exceeded my subscription goal. So I'll have to update that. Y'all are in here doing amazing and I appreciate y'all. Okay, love y'all so much. I will be back later. I will be back later. Thank y'all so much. Bye, y'all.